It's the time to come together. Keep Liberia safe forever. Open up your heart, let the unity begin. Love is all we need to make it stand. Let's cultivate one another. Learn to live together as brothers and sisters. Without togetherness, we won't have a peace of mind. Unify and have a peaceful Liberia. Land of liberty.
We are getting feedback. Yeah, we're hearing the device playing some at the background. So the device is playing some at the background. Bobby, is you, Mr. Savice?
I'm right here, guys.
All right. Oh yeah, I'll getting feedback. That's
Oh no, not from me.
I want to say a pleasant welcome to all of you guys joining the broadcast. This is the Dakpannah Show, the nation's premier platform where we discuss the issues that matter most to Liberia. I'm excited to be back with another brand new edition of the Dakpannah Show. As you all may be aware, the Dakpannah Show is a thought-provoking and stimulating talk show that discusses topics of national significance. We focus more on the growth and development of our common denominator, our common patrimony, Liberia. On the Dakpannah Show, we agree to disagree with dialogue and our confrontation. We seek to make Liberia and the entire world wholesome, functioning society for all of us. On the Dakpannah Show, we speak words and we do not shoot bullets. So I want to say welcome to you, wherever you are, however you are following. I'm excited to be back with the team. Today we have a guest, and you are all welcome to the platform, wherever you are, however you are following, whether you are in Australia, Africa, Europe, whether you are in Asia. I want to say welcome and welcome to the platform. Thank you for joining and help to share the live. Tell a friend to invite a friend. On the Dakpannah Show, we solicit the views of everywhere, many Liberian, no matter their political divide, no matter their political affiliation. We afford a platform to all Liberians, no matter who you are. Along you are Liberian, we afford you the opportunity to come and let's talk Liberia. And the Dakpannah Show is a conduit to promote peace, reconciliation, and national unity. That's the reason why we are having this discussion today. Today's discussion will focus on the establishment of war and economic crimes caught in Liberia. And today we are proud to say we have our guest pretty seated, the lead campaigner for the establishment of war crime code in Liberia. He's from the organization called Liberian United for Justice and Accountability, LUJA. And he's known as Mr. Emmanuel Savice. I want to say welcome to the platform, Mr. Savice. I want to say, Papi, welcome. Now we have Mr. Savice with us. Thank you for joining.
Well, to be here again, and the issue or the topic on the discussion more, especially to do with the establishment of war and economic crimes code in our country, is something that has been long overdue. The current leadership of our country used to be campaign, but now they have to be people who are against it. We, like you said, we have with us as a special guest tonight, the founder and CEO of Liberia, the Liberian United for Justice and Accountability, LUJA. We remember Mr. Savage was in He will not handle all because of his office, and he has to go back to the for safety. And I mean, going back to Canada, not rest on his campaign. Recently, we saw the ambassador for the ambassador planning, the ambassador at large of the United States was visiting Morovia. She indicated in most of the meetings that the United States is willing to support the establishment of war and economic crime code, but rather the Liberian will be the one to start. Here a couple of meetings with members of the Liberian legislature. She also had a special meeting with the Deputy Speaker of the Liberia House of Representatives, Councillor Fonanti Kofa, and we hope and pray that the like, be put in place to begin the ground. So tonight we have Mr. Savage, who will be our special guest. Will be able to provide as well. How far is it campaign? Receiving such information, more especially the United States has interest through its ambassador at large, who is traveling around the world, and she goes to Liberia. That one interview, I remember asked the ambassador what is she had a meeting to, she had a planned meeting with the president of Liberia. She said, I need not to meet with the president. The president knows what exactly needs to be done. And without waste of time, we will now first of all say Mr. Emmanuel Savice to the show.
Mr. Colley and Mr. Smith, thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be on the show. I look forward to a fruitful conversation with you guys and your audience about the War and Economic Crimes Code that I am very much delighted about.
All right, good. I mean, the war and economic crime has been something like, for example, we remember the current leadership of our country when they were in opposition. They had a lot of certain actions, especially in front of the United States Embassy and other diplomatic missions in our country. But as we speak, they have gone silent on it, and we just don't know what is going on as it relates to and how far is it, and what can we do as a Liberian. So with that, tonight we'll be looking at several issues. Mr. Savage, first of all, to begin the show, will you like telling us a little more? Those of our audience are following tonight, they might hear about you, but would you like to throw light about who is Emmanuel Savice?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes introducing myself can be a little bit complicated because I don't know where to start. But I'm Emmanuel Savice. I live in Canada. I'm married, father of 6 children. I am the CEO of Liberians United for Justice and Accountability. I'm the guy behind Justice and Accountability in Liberia, the fight for war and economic crimes code. If there's any introduction I want people to know me by, is the guy who is ardently fighting for justice and accountability in Liberia. We've launched several campaigns for justice and accountability in Liberia, including our protests in 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2021. And of course, the 1 million victim signature that were launched by Liberians United for Justice and Accountability. So, by way of introduction, I'm Emmanuel Savice, a Liberian that is passionate about justice and accountability in Liberia. I would like to see the war and economic crimes code come to fruition in our country.
All right. Thank you very much. You listen to him. He's one of the firebrand advocates for the establishment of war and economic crime codes in our country. Okay, Mr. Savage, to begin the show, let me get your own perspective on the recent visit of the United States at large, who recently visited Liberia, held several with key stakeholders, including members of the legislature, and craving them to be able to start the groundwork for the establishment What do you make of it?
I was impressed, and it was a little bit shameful as well.
Mhm.
I'm impressed that the United States is responding to our many calls that Ambassador at Large for War Crimes will visit Liberia to remind the Liberian government that impunity still live in Liberia, and Liberia needs justice and accountability, so that we can have the same act, committed in the future, and that those who are victims can at least have some sort of closure. She reminded them that if you can't fight crimes like that, you're not going to fight everyday crime. I I was very, very, very happy to see that happen. At the same time, it was a very shameful day that we need the Americans to come and remind us that we have killed about 300,000 people and justice is required. So there was a bit of misemotion. On the happy side, our signature being accepted by them, and that they now know the Liberians are crying more than before for justice. And then on the other side, the flip coin is more of a shame that a democratic government requires someone from the United States to come and remind us that justice is needed in our country.
With all of the advocates, like for example, I remember uh, there were several sitting acts for the Liberian legislature, and this time around, uh, like you said earlier on, we should always be reminded by our, let's say, um, should I say, head of democracy, because, for example, as a free, independent nation, where we go to leaders, we should be able to make decisions that will be able to, every time we want to sweep things under the carpet, there are people in the country, more especially powerful people, who supposed to, who are not in the legislature, particularly Mr. Prince Johnson, George Bole, and the rest, and the list go on. I mean, do you think a legislation crafted for the establishment or to be legislator will have the kind of vote that we need?
I think, yeah, I think most of the problems come from the president. Whatever the president wants to happen will happen. So I know the legislature is the most powerful branch of government. But in a country like Liberia, what democracy is different from what democracy should look like with an imperial presidency. It's mainly the president will that will be done. It's more of what President George Manuel Weah wants than what the national legislature wants. So I have no doubt that if you speak to many legislators, sorry, like I have done personally through my many visits to Liberia, that many of them would tell you that they embrace the War and Economic Crimes Court. I think it's more of the president now wanting it. I think it's more of the ruling party now wanting it. And there are some members of opposition who see impunity as a continuation of corruption in our country that is serving as a roadblock to the process. But to say legislators will now vote for the establishment of one economic crimes court, I think that's not the situation. In fact, we don't even need them anymore. Uh, the TRC passed an act that was signed by the legislature, and this the establishment of one economic crimes court, don't really need another signature. But we just wanted to make it clear that we as victims do want it, and that's why we got involved so that ordinary citizens who are victims can put pen to paper requesting for justice and accountability.
Or like you in like I mean with this thing there are people, for example, that are still walking around freely, uh like they still participating in political of our country. When we look at the aspect of your campaign, recently we saw three top government officials of Mr. George Weah government that was sanctioned by the United States, for I mean, the United States gave. What do you make of it, specifically Nantan Mage, who happened to be the chief of staff were accused in that report for tampering, corruption, and the Solicitor General, the Managing Director of the National Port Authority, Bill Twawe, and Sima Serena Seaforth. What happened to those people? When we look at the economic aspect of it, they have plundered the country, and the president cosmetically have asked them, they have resigned.
If you look at the life of McGill, you will realize that McGill has gotten rich in less than 5 years, serving as Minister of State for Presidential Affairs under the CDC-led government. Now, it's only smart to say that you know that he's corrupt. However, you don't have the evidence. But the Americans came in and done their investigation and saw him to be corrupt, and he was sanctioned. Now, all of what we thought about McGill is now being real. We've seen him building houses that he couldn't afford, buying cars. I mean, we see the distribution of wealth within his family. You know, the latest being what he was sanctioned for, including even building, I'll say, a mansion in my voice for a dead mother in the face of abject poverty. So there's a lot going on in our country that have been happening before the George Weah's administration, that continue to happen and that will happen if we do not care about justice, because justice is going to serve as stumbling block for those who are ripping our government apart, who are making sure that our resources are not used for the intended purpose. And that is the reason why we're happy that Americans got involved and sanctions these three individuals. On the sad part here, Mr. Smith, is the president himself, so the CDC government has now launched its own investigation in any way possible to look at the evidence of the Americans and to charge these individuals and forward them to court. So, like I said, when Americans get involved, it's a little bit of happiness for Liberians. But the sad part is we as Liberians ourselves, our government is refusing to act. And these things are done purposely to continue impunity, to continue corruption in our country, which has killed so many Liberians and will definitely kill more Liberians if we do not act. Unfortunately, the CDC government is yet to act since the American government did their investigation and sanctioned these people for money laundering and all kinds of corruption. So it's sad, to be honest with you.
Okay, Mr. Savice, I want to say welcome again. We appreciate you being on the platform. But firstly, I really want to know, why are you so into this campaign? What driving you to go through all of what you have gone through, calling for the establishment of war and economic crimes code? You are a resident of Canada. You could just like, go ahead with your normal life and just turn your back on this whole campaign. But why are you into this?
And Mr. Smith, I thank you for this question. I look forward to a question like this when we're talking about war and economic crimes code. Liberia is our country. I listened to your intro, and I will have to listen to it again because it's a bit inspiring about Liberia being a common patrimony. Like what we do matters to our country. So just because we're able to get out of there doesn't mean that we should turn our back. I'm a victim of the Civil War myself, and my entire inspiration of justice and accountability is personal. And because God has given me the voice to be able to speak for myself and to be able to take care of myself and my family, I want to make sure that I transfer the same voice to those who can't. I lived in Liberia, and during the war, I lost 3 of my brothers and 1 of my sisters. I don't have any brother at this point because of the Civil War. Many people suffer the damages that I didn't suffer, or something even more. They became more victims, but because of poverty and because they didn't have the opportunity to become educated, they don't have the voice. So they're just sitting watching and considering themselves not even as victims, but people who are not valuable in society. So it's based on this that we intend to speak because we've been blessed to be able to have a voice and extend our voices to others who would like to speak but cannot because of poverty, because of lack of education, and because of the simple fact that they are quote unquote nobody in society. If you look at what happened in our country, and after the fact that we fought the war for 14 years, you're I don't know if you've been back anytime. You were back anytime soon in Liberia, but Liberia is on the internet. You know the daily lives, our infrastructure, what we do in Liberia, our education, our healthcare. Liberia is it's not just a third world country. Liberia is a disgrace to this earth, and the reason it is because of corruption. We got no rule, we got no hospitals, we got no education. In fact, we have refused to promote our human resource after the Civil War. If we cannot fight for the 300,000 people that died in our country, what kind of justice system do we have or are we going to have in the future? If we allow warlords to lead us, if we're allowing them to become president, allowing them to become senators, representatives, if we're allowing them to be part of the EPS, if we're allowing them to be ministers, assistant ministers, or even head of autonomous agency, then what kind of country are we? You know, Liberia will continue to disgrace itself if we do not fight for justice and accountability and wheel these people that have murdered people out of government. My inspiration, like I said, that makes me continue to fight for justice and accountability is the fact that our country needs it, victims who don't have voices need it, and my family need it as well.
All right, Mr. Savice, one may say that you have political motive. Why are they saying this? Because Manaseri administration went for 12 years. At that time, you have the United Nations peacekeepers in the country, and at that time, the TRC document was very fresh. It just came into being. So why you weren't around calling for the establishment of war and economic concord? We saw other guys doing it, and you were sitting on the fence. But since the inception of this weird administration, you are all into it. So one may say that, well, you have political motive, is that you're against the weird administration. That's why you are pushing this war and economic concord. What do you have to say to that?
And Mr. Smith, that's brilliant because I given a chance to explain myself.
Mhm.
Uh, let's be honest here. If I have, let's say I want to become a representative, why do I need to be fighting for war and economic crimes court? War and economic crimes court going to put everybody against you, all the major players against you. The people who are related to Yuri won't like you. The people who are related to Prince Johnson will not like you. The people who are related to George Weah will not like you. Um, you put yourself in a box where people hit you because you're fighting for justice, and justice is bad for those people who are in power. Now, if I want to be a representative, why should I spend my resources fighting for justice and accountability when I could just go in the community and start a campaign that will elect me? I'll tell you, for example, in 2005, I was still a young man at the time. I just come to Canada, so I started a project in my community and started building pit latrines. And all I could hear was that I was trying to be a representative. I mean, that's the culture of Liberian advocacy. I wanted mine to be different. I wanted it to be more from the heart and genuine to our country. And I just like time to explain what really Emmanuel Savice wants. I'm not gonna defend myself, but if you don't see me on the ballot, maybe answer the question. In 2011, as we continue our our humanitarian work in Liberia, um, the CDC started the Advocacy for Justice and Accountability, which included the famous War on Economic Crimes Court. Mother Molu today, that served as chairman of the CDC, I sent him $200 United States when they were tooting casket around as our support. I was a young man back then. I was still in university. I tried to take care of my family, and I was burning to be a part of that, but I was distance away. But we were happy that the CDC was controlling the debate for War on Economic Crimes and arguing that we need it. So I don't have to be the head of an organization or be the head of CDC at the time, but I supported the process, and I wanted justice during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf-led administration. I think she's a warlord. I think she should be brought to justice. I think she's a war criminal, and it's the same thing I think about Prince Johnson and Charles Taylor and Haji G. Burma and George Foley and the rest of those guys that murder our people. So I've heard all kinds of things. In fact, there are others who think that 2017, I'll start with that we're going to be on the ballot. I wasn't on the ballot. Now, there are predictions that would be on the ballot for 2023. I'm telling you on the show that I will not be on the ballot. My advocacy general, I work in Canada. I lived here. My kids live here. There ain't no way I'm leaving my kids for somebody else to raise them. I would not be that kind of father. However, we will not remain politically inactive. We will try to support individuals who care about justice and accountability. But personally, I'm not saying never to a political office, but it is not my desire to be in. 2023 will not see me as one of your candidates in Liberia, or even as one of your minister or assistant minister, or even a buddy to the president, or even head of any autonomous agency. I will remain in Canada and living here as a peaceful citizen.
With that, into my next, let's know political affiliation, political party.
You want to know what I'm affiliated with, political party?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not, but I like the message of Tiawan Gonglo. If I were in Liberia today and listening to all the candidates, I'll be casting my ballot for Tiawan Gonglo. The reason is because he's passionate about justice and accountability. I've spoken to so many candidates in Liberia. If you look through them and see the honesty coming from there, I think Tiawan Gonglo is passionate about justice, and he aligned with what my advocacy stands for in Liberia, what Liberians United for Justice and Accountability stands for in Liberia. So not that I've declared my support for him, but I'll tell you here, right on this show, that he's more than likely to be my candidate, even in defeat. I think he's a better candidate than the rest.
All right, Mr. Savice, I want you to give me a candid opinion on this. Mr. Alexander Cummings is the head of the Alternative National Congress. Recently, he named his team for the 2023 campaign, his initial team of 44 persons. And we saw some of the names, those who participated in our war days, those Liberians, some of them, they were major players of the 14 years of civil unrest that engulfed our country, that make Liberia the way it is today. How do you feel when you saw the names?
And then you see, Mr. Smith, when I was in Liberia, I met Mr. Cummings. Mr. Cummings and I had a meeting for about an hour about justice and accountability. He did say that he wants justice and accountability in Liberia. He won the War on Economic Crimes Court. I like Mr. Cummings. I wouldn't lie to you. I think he's one of our best candidates in the elections. I wouldn't mind seeing a competition between him and Tiawan Gonglo. But on the other hand, when you look into politics in Liberia, you see all kinds of things. Everybody say, you need a number to win. You got to affiliate with these people. I was disappointed. I can understand politically why, but I'm disappointed. Why am I disappointed is because even we as citizens, we cannot even rally behind honest people so that they can avoid people who are not honest. It's a two-way street, you know. He's looking for numbers. He doesn't care where he gets it from. And then the honest people are the people who sitting by and don't care to support. So my disappointment is the fact that Mr. Cumming was very insensitive to name people who committed atrocity in Liberia to be part of his campaign team. Now, what does that say if he wins the election? Will it not be the same people serving? Will he care about justice and accountability? Uh, that's great. Those are great questions that you can ponder on at this moment, But I can't say that he doesn't know what he's doing. Everybody wants to win. If you look at the CDC that criticizing him for having somebody like Donna Chia, they got Prince Johnson. You know, I was in Liberia. I got whipped. And look, whipped says not even a word. It's like you're disciplining a child. I got flogged, abused violently, whipped in Liberia, by former rebels that serve in this government. Some of them presidential securities with the EPS. So everybody's lining themselves with sons and daughters of Liberia, whether you're part of the civil war or not. They want the number to win. But as chairman of LUJA, I got to state that I was very disappointed in the fact that Mr. Cummings is aligning himself with these people. And I just hope if he wins the elections, he'll be a different president because sometimes people will say, you know what, we do what we got to do until we win. George Weah cannot make that argument anymore because he won and he didn't care about justice. But some of the Mr. Cummings may still make that argument at some point. Not right now, but maybe later. But disappointed I am to see that he will be aligning himself with these war criminals just to win election. It sounds like some desperation to me.
A few months ago, you collected 3,000 signature plus. You submitted those signatures to the United States government. Some are arguing that it's not real. It's unrealistic that you could get us such amount of signature. Some people feels that it was fake. What do you have to say to those people who are questioning that move by you to collect those signatures? Because one of the argument they are pushing is that they didn't see you guys anywhere. Liberians are not aware of you collecting those signatures. So how will you come from a clear blue sky with 300,000 signatures?
So, Mr. Smith, we got pictorial evidence, we got video evidence. Uh, we launched a campaign.
Mhm.
I think it was in the month of May, I believe. In the month of May, I believe the year was 2019. Sorry, 2020. And we have people in the streets collecting signatures all over the place, including in counties. The people who are saying that it's fake, are the real people who support the rebels. The CDC government that is now favoring the rebels because they want a second term. I think they're more of telling us that we are not victims of the civil war and the Liberians don't care about justice. That's what they have been preaching for a very long time. Look, if I had the support, if my organization had the financial support, if we didn't do this from our pockets, if any organization is willing to support the process in Liberia, not just through LUJA, but other non-governmental organizations that want justice and accountability, if you are willing to support the process financially, 300,000 signatures is no number. We can get you over 2 million. Liberians really want justice. They really want it. You just don't have the finances to reach these people. If you do have the support, we can get all the signatures that is required in Liberia that those who are victims will sign. And if I ask you right now, Mr. Smith, would you sign a document for war and economic crimes court? I strongly believe you will respond in the affirmative. The same with Mr. Colley, I think, in my opinion. And I don't see anybody in Liberia who does not want justice and accountability. So to say that the numbers are fake is something that I don't need to argue about. It sounds like somebody who needs to be rehabilitated. And so when I hear people say that it's fake, it sounds like a rebel is speaking, somebody who is supporting the rebel government is speaking, or somebody who needs to be rehabilitated, because after the Civil War, many of us are traumatized. For you to think that Liberians don't have sense enough to sign the document for justice and accountability is very sad, my brother. So I don't try to argue with these people, but we submitted our pictorial evidence, video evidence. We submitted the day we launched the campaign, and we made sure that we back this up to the United States government that this is truly a representation of Liberian victims calling for war and economic crimes.
Okay, so the government is saying that it's a good thing to call for the establishment of war and economic crimes code in the country. But what they are saying is not a major priority for the government right now, because the government have a lot of pressing issues to deal with, the pressing things. They need to fix the country, and they need to transform the lives of the people. So that is on their plate, but is now a major priority. What do you have to say to that? Don't you think it's a fair statement from the government?
No, it's not. How does justice stop progress in the country? Justice helps progress. How does justice stop us from running the Ministry of Finance? How does it stop the president from collecting revenue from LRA? How does it stop the president from selling gold and diamond? How does it stop the president from signing legislation that will help the country? How does it stop us from signing concession that will help our country? How does it stop us from getting aid, budgetary support, or our international partners' attention? It's an elementary argument. It just doesn't hold. In fact, Liberians stand to benefit even financially from the establishment of war and economic crimes court, because the process will be completely supported by the Americans and our international partners, like it was done in Sierra Leone. Sierra Leone did not contribute a dime to the process in Sierra Leone that persecuted those who committed atrocity in Liberia, in Sierra Leone. International partners supported the process, and the same. If you listen to the ambassador at large, they are ready to support the process. They said they will provide the money. It's about the CDC government not wanting it. The Unity Party government didn't want it. And the only reason they did not want it is because they want to continue corruption. They want to make sure that they have Prince Johnson on their side to deliver Unity Party to the UP like they did in 2011. And then now the CDC wants Prince Johnson to deliver Nima County like he's done in 2017. So these people become more relevant to our politics because they become kingsmaker. And that's all it is. But to argue that we got pressing issue, and if I ask the government, what kind of development are you carrying on right now? I'll tell you right now, it sounds more like a Ghanaian investor investing in its community. That's what the Liberian government is doing for the entire Liberia. There is nothing going on in Liberia that is called development, my brother. Unless you don't visit Liberia, unless you don't travel to see other countries, you cannot stand to argue that Liberia is progressing, because Liberia is way behind. And the only reason why we're behind is because we have refused justice, we have refused accountability, and that's why it's affecting every sector of our country.
Mr. Savice, with that, other people would say the president and the team of have started.
Papi, we getting feedback from you. I don't know what's going on.
You're breaking in. You're breaking out.
Yeah.
Mr. Cully,
How to go out
and come
Yeah,
back.
so try to do that.
Yeah, try that.
So Mr. Savice, while we are waiting for Papi to go out and come back in, I want to also say this. Next year, August 2023, next year, August 2023, will be 20 years since we signed the Accra Comprehensive Peace Accord. And we have been living, as a peaceful nation. We have been living in peace. We have been peaceful. But so one may say, but why can't we just focus on restorative justice than retributive? Don't you think that by all going back, hunting people down, prosecuting them, don't you think it would take us back to the old days? Because one may say that Liberians will appreciate restorative because those same people that committed the heinous crime, most of them they have been elected by the same people. So
Yeah.
the simple message that they appreciate is that restorative justice is good, is better than retributive. What do you have to say to that?
And I don't like restorative justice in our case because it sounds stupid to me that somebody murder your family and they're asking you to come and sit and have a conversation about it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And it shouldn't make sense to anyone who has head on their shoulder. I don't know why people even talk about restorative justice. Look at Wata Allison, for example. Uh, she was beaten on camera about Prince Johnson, later murder. Do you think our children want restorative justice or they want retributive justice? It's clear that people want justice for their families. Like these people who went and signed the Accra Comprehensive Peace Accord. It's more to me like rebel signing documents. I'm glad that we stopped the shooting of guns at the time and went through the democratic process. But let's be honest here. We still don't have the peace that we yearn for. How do you have justice when people in Liberia are living in poverty? How do you have justice when even JFK does not have place for people who are sick? How do you have justice when you cannot even have the education needed to be able to compete with others in the sub-region? Look, we got to be honest. I don't know who's crying for restorative justice. Sounds like the rebels are crying for it. We victims want rep- retributive justice. Victims of the Civil War want retributive justice. We want these people to go to a court of competent jurisdiction, be tried so that they can be able to either, clear their names or face justice and face the punishment for the act they committed in our country.
Okay, Papi, you're back. Papi, the fever still following you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Good. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know what's happening today.
Yeah, I
Um,
think you're good now.
I listened to you talking about retributive. I mean, the government. My question was, the government is boasting about building roads, uh, building shelter for less fortunate, naming places like Nuku Town and other parts of the country like Grand Cru and other areas. So the president or the government is more concentrated on that aspect of the development of the country. Don't you think the government should focus a lot more on developing roads that will enable our farmers to bring produce from the farm to the markets?
I think every government in the world should focus on rule, but that doesn't mean that you're focusing on rule, you can't focus on justice. I don't understand the elementary explanation by the CDC-led government that we're focusing on development, so we can't focus on justice. If justice is not going to cost you money, why are you complaining about it? Look, it's simple. What rules what rules are the government focused on? What are they building? Think about the roads that they're building in Liberia: the 2 kilometer road, the 1 kilometer road, the 2 miles road. Look, let's be honest. There ain't any development going on in Liberia. You may think that Liberia has been developed because they show you a picture of a park built. I mean, I love the park, for example. I'll tell you, the children of Liberia play there. They have a place, and we might have a professional footballer coming out of there. We will have somebody who has a bit of depression out there enjoying themselves. and having the time of their life. These are important things that we need. They are common, but when you talk about holistic development in Liberia, the CDC government is not attempting to do anything in that country that is called development. I'll tell you right now. And they shouldn't say because they want to build rules so they can persecute someone that killed human being. It just doesn't make sense. And I don't know how to argue these things because it most likely sounds like you are arguing with somebody who mentally needs help. You know, when you come up with these kind of scenarios that we are trying to build the country and you're talking about justice, it just doesn't make sense, my brother.
Okay, Mr. Savice. Now, the last time you were in Liberia, and then we saw that there was a commotion between you and Papi. You gotta mute yourself because you will get the feedback for you. All right. So there was a commotion. Yeah, Papi was still getting the feedback. All right. So I'm still getting the feedback. Well, yeah, there's a
I can hear you loud and clear. I'm not getting any
yeah,
feedback.
but yeah, there's a feedback. But anyway, there's a commotion between you and the state security. Do you care to explain to us what really transpired? Because at certain point in time, we also saw your Canadian document on the social media and so forth. Can you explain what really transpired on that fateful day when you guys went to campaign for the Cyber Workers Code in the country?
So LUJA went every year to petition our government for the War and Economic Crimes Court, and this wasn't any different from what we did on that day. We went to the national legislature and we gave our petition to the national legislature calling for War and Economic Crimes Court. And then we went to the office of the president. At the time, the foreign ministry was hosting the president. That's where the president had his office. We went to submit our petition, and all we want to do is to see our president and tell him that we care about justice and accountability, and he needs to act. The War and Economic Crimes Code is important. And when we got there, we were about 2,000 to 3,000, I believe. The president was upstairs, and we went to the entrance. The first person we met is a rebel, Gaddafi. The next person at the entrance is another rebel, Zero Breaks. But they are EPS guys. They don't like to hear War and Economic Crimes Court. They immediately started threatening us. You know that we should get away from there. They immediately started. There's a guy who came and said, "I'm going to talk to the president. For the president to come down, or we can get one of your representatives to go up." So somebody was trying to negotiate, but these two individuals started to push us back, and as we started to go back, they started kicking, and I was dragged into security booth by Zero Bricks, by Gaddafi, and all the security that I don't know. They kicked me in the head. They beat me up. They grabbed me, put hang up on me, and threw me in a EPS car and drove me down to the police station at Central. They kept me in the holding cell for hours, almost 8 hours. And the executive marshal released a statement that I was going to be charged. And later on, the UN representative was at the national Liberian National Headquarters office. There were other negotiations that made them to release me without charging me because I didn't do nothing wrong. I just went to submit petition. But it just tells you that the CDC government does not care about justice and accountability. And when you talk about it, it really hurts. And it seems like everything they did for War and Economic Crimes Code was fake, very fake, and they just used it to assume power.
But okay, some of the information that we gather was that you were being violent, you were being hostile. You didn't want to follow instruction, so that was the reason why they had to engage with you in such a way. but it's good that you was able to inform us. But it is true that after you left Liberia, you made a statement that you don't care about Liberia, is that you owe it more to Canada than Liberia because Liberia has nothing to offer you. Because some of us we got that information and we got angry with that statement coming from you. So it is true that you
I,
said
I,
that.
this is my first time hearing this news to me.
Okay.
I'm not an insensitive person. How would I not care about Liberia, where I was born, where my mom and dad live? Why would I care about Liberia, where my family's my sisters are? I don't understand how somebody would say that about Emmanuel Savice, because at no point I made that statement. Liberia is dear to my heart. I care about Liberia. I'm talking about what I care about Canada. I really do care about Canada. You know, I have kids that were born here. This is home. This is where I lived. My kids lived here. This will be a place that I will always cherish. That give me a second chance to life after my country destroyed me and destroyed my country. The people in my country, many of them were rebels. But I'll tell you, I will never make that statement, and I don't know why. I'm even hearing it now because I never heard it before. And wherever that came from is nothing but lies. I would never make that statement.
Okay, so Papi, are you there? Mr. Cody? Okay, if you are just tuning in, this is the Dakpannah Show, and we are here in conversation with Mr. Emmanuel Savice, the CEO for LUJA, the Liberian United for Justice and Accountability. We are looking at the campaign of LUJA calling for the establishment of war and economic crimes court in Liberia. So, Mr. Savice, do you think you will achieve this?
I think our country should achieve this. I think victims should achieve this. If I didn't think positive about the campaign and about the outcome in the future, I don't think I'll be spending my time and resources behind this. No matter what the case is, whether we
Mhm.
do or not, it is only good, only prudent for genuine Liberians that want a better Liberia to get involved in finding justice and accountability for our country and the people that died. So sometimes it's not more of what is possible, it's more of what is right. And I start this advocacy based on what is right, but I'm also hopeful that one day, in the not too distant future, Liberia will realize that justice is an important component of our development, and we need to achieve it.
Okay. Oh, now this government took office since 2018. They got elected 2017. They took office 2018. When it comes to economic crimes, what can you say from 2018 to now? Do you think they are proceeding in the right direction, or there have been a lot of corruption in the country that need to be prosecuted?
Well, absolutely not. The government's corrupt, starting with the president. The president encourages corruption. I think you saw what the president did after he assumed power in our country. He built
Mhm.
duplexes, mansions for himself. What the president couldn't do before is what he did when he became president. In fact, I see people arguing about what the president made, what he had, but the president himself declared $50,000 in a bank in America. That's the president himself declaring his asset. The president declared a property, I believe, in Florida, and there's another one, I believe, that is in somewhere in New York or its surrounding area, uh, which he said was worth around 200,000. We all know we mortgage these properties and we don't own it 100%. But let's say the president made millions of dollars and own it. It still does not give the president what he's building the money that he's spending. So it's simple. The president himself is involved in corruption. The president has shown us that he doesn't care about the fight for justice and accountability. The president brought down his 9th Street residence and put a modern building down, something that he couldn't afford before. Now he can. And the president built duplexes, condominiums that he couldn't afford before. So starting with the president, corruption begins, and then you come to other officers of the president that are doing the same. So I would tell you plain blank that the city's government does not care about justice and accountability, and they're not fighting corruption because they themselves, they are very corrupt.
So what do you make of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission? That's an anti-graft body. The legislature came up with a new law disbanding the entire board of commissioners and coming in with a new law to invite people to reapply to hire new people on that board of commissioners at the LUJA. But then one of the arguments they are pushing is that at least the LUJA will have two to bite because they will have the power to prosecute. But LUJA former commissioner, I don't know, I want to say former or I want to say the in battle chairman of the LUJA, he took the case to court, saying that the action taken by the legislature, that law is a bad law. What do you make of that, the new law? Do you think it's good or do you think it's wrong?
Well, what I do care about is not what they argue about. It's what the outcome is. There's a common saying that the end justifies the means. Existing without the national legislature involvement or trying to repeal the first second law, what has the LUJA done? Now, with the national legislature, new law creates an avenue for justice and accountability. The answer is absolutely no. The truth is, as a justice fighter, I don't even care about a little politics. Because, to be honest with you, all these things are just because someone in government wants to be very powerful. And they want to make sure they do everything to avoid justice and accountability, to encourage corruption. I asked myself when those things came out, what did it do before the national legislature involvement? And by the way, I don't have respect for the national legislature because I believe they are the mean corrupt individuals of government. Like, they're supposed to be the first branch of government, the most respectable members of government, but they are the most corrupt. So I sit back not trying to participate in a little politics. Like, for example, the president wanted Dakpannah Show go and, put up some bribes, and he was gone. If the president wants no more LUJA, there'll be no more LUJA. We need to change the way we think and focus on justice and accountability before we can try to build institutions. We want to learn Z when we have not learned E. That's Liberia's problem. We cannot be comparing ourselves with the rest of the world when we have not done the fundamentals. So, like I said, the politics with LUJA and the national legislature just doesn't make sense to me because it's going to end up to the same corruption. Nobody's going to prosecute. Nobody's going to try to do anything. They are just trying to make sure that you have conflicts. And we who understand politics and that have done communication understand what conflicts are or conflicts is. Because what they're doing is trying not to proceed. They're trying to start a process of justice and accountability, pretending to be acting for the sake of good, but they are definitely involved in an argument that will make a body not functioning. That's all they're trying to do. Nothing more. They are just avoiding justice in every
sector. Okay. So now the United States ambassador at large on war crimes. She was in the country. I don't know whether you follow her when she appeared on OKFM. You saw Liberians, lawyers, calling and saying that United States should keep quiet. They don't have the moral rectitude to call for war crimes court to be established in Liberia because they were part of the war. So what do you make of those statements coming from some Liberians that U.S. should just keep mute because they were the people who supported the war in Liberia?
So the lawyers themselves signed a resolution to support the War and Economic Crimes Court. So the Liberian National Bar Association, at the time headed by Tiawan Gongo, they came together and signed a resolution. Now, those lawyers that are calling, because I listen, there are other lawyers that call and want a war crimes court and reminded two of the lawyers that said that America does not have any more ready to call for justice and accountability in Liberia. Like, it sounds like a rebel lawyer to me. Like, how would you say that? If you are a lawyer, you know better. If you are a lawyer, you should act better. Like, how can you tell Liberians helpers to not help us because you think they are bad enough? Like, what bad have America done to Liberia? We need to know. You cannot tell us America didn't bring anybody to fight war in Liberia. If for anything, there are some Americans that use Liberians. And if we Liberians are calling for justice and America wants to help us, why wouldn't we take it? For example, you know all of that, but you're still taking America millions of dollars. Why? You can't say they have no moral ground to give you money. You accept the money, you use the money, and then when they ask you to do something, you say, I can't. If America was not giving us money, if America was not building some of our infrastructures, if they were not supporting our elections, if they were not supporting education, if they were not involved in our country in any way, then I can understand. But when your government is receiving aids in millions, if you were supporting an humanitarian group somewhere in the world, even in Liberia, Mr. Smith, I'm pretty sure some days if they're going left, you'll want to bring them back to where they should be going. That's just what America's doing. So to those lawyers, it's just a shame that they would even pick up the phone after learning to even spill such a garbage out there in the public. They should be ashamed of their profession.
But Mr. Savage, some people are arguing that what now? When Manaseri was in power for 12 years, Liberians came up calling for the same code to be established. The US paid deaf ears to that. So it is because Ellen was their darling girl, and that's the reason why they didn't act. But why are they acting now?
You see, Ellen played a smart game, not just on Liberians, but on the international community. She became the darling of the West. We need to write our own history because if the victors of the Civil War write the history like Ellen has done, we're never going to be able to put our cases out there as victims. What Ellen did was to negotiate with the international community and thought that we need to rebuild. And then we're thinking in the direction of justice and accountability. She was able to convince them. To be honest with you, Liberia benefited a lot because we just came from civil war and you saw how corrupt her government was. But when people ask, why now? I ask in return, why not? Why not? Because men of yesterday didn't do it. So men of today shouldn't do it. And then men of the future should give excuse to why we didn't do it. Like, why not? Why can't we do it now? Now, you can ask, why didn't we do it then? But you can ask why we want to do it now. It has to be done. And the sooner we do it, the better it is for us as a country. I don't know if you care about seizing somebody's property that stole $300,000 from your government and built a mansion somewhere. Do you really care about it now, or you don't care about it now? Like, we need to do something. During the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, we needed justice. Victims needed justice. Victims have no voice at the time. Victims still don't have any voice at the time. So you can argue that we shouldn't. We should. It's important. Why not? Why not now? Why not? Like, tell me why not before asking why now. If you don't have a good why not, don't ask me why now. That's my response.
Okay. All right. I want to say welcome to all of you guys just joining the broadcast. If you are just joining, this is the Dakpannah Show, and we have as our guest Mr. Emmanuel Savice, lead campaigner for the establishment of World Crown Court in Liberia. So if you want to call in, you can call in. The number is pin, and we have Mr. Savice for 1 hour 30 minutes. So we have gone a little bit over 1 hour, asking him a few questions. So you can call in now and post your question, or maybe you want to make a comment. So the number is pinned, Dakpannah 24. The number is pinned there. You can call that number and I will put it to the line. If you're outside Liberia, the same number is on WhatsApp. So I want to say you are welcome to call. So while we are waiting to call Mr. Savice, do you think we will ever achieve this?
I think we should be optimistic about achieving it because it would be a very good thing for our country. If we were not very optimistic, we would not be involved in the advocacy for justice and accountability. But every Liberian, in my opinion, should be optimistic that this is possible in Liberia.
Okay. So now there's an argument in the corridors of the Liberian community. People are now saying that those Liberians that were placed on U.S. sanction, they should be disallowed from contesting independent election. All I'm saying now is a good idea, but it will be against their right because they weren't found guilty by any court in the country. What do you make of that? I listened to some government officials or some U.S. officials from the embassy, and even that ambassador, she said the U.S. cannot dictate to Liberia. The U.S. cannot put a recommendation that will violate the constitution of Liberia. So what do you make of the argument coming from some Liberians that those guys should be denied based on them being sanctioned for economic crimes in the country?
I agree with them. There's two sides of the story. The Constitution backs them to be able to contest. I agree. That's what the Constitution says. You are not a criminal unless you are charged, tried, and convicted for same. I agree. I honestly agree. But this is the same argument I continue to make. Why are we delaying justice? The American government said the people stole. The Liberian government accepted the fact that it's stolen, even asked these people to resign. Why are you not getting the same evidence to prosecute them? The same thing we did with the Liberian Civil War, that what we're doing with crimes of today. We've refused to prosecute these people, send them to court, forward them and see what is stored from the people. How can we get what they have taken from us? At least some of it. We have not done any of that. I agree with citizens that don't want them to contest. Like, why should you be stealing resources and be giving you government power? But there's a flip coin to all of this, Mr. Smith. People of Liberia who are the electors, most of them are very literate. They're very poor. They're not going to have the same understanding as you and I. Our brothers and sisters, we're not just victims of the Civil War in terms of the bullets that were shot those days. They are also victims of the aftermath of what the Civil War brought upon them. So it's going to be really hard to tackle these things if we don't tackle justice and accountability. That's the reason why justice is delaying every aspect. You delay justice for the 300,000 people that died. Now you're delaying justice for money laundering. You're delaying justice for corrupt individuals. Like, why are you delaying justice? If you were the president or you listening, why would you not ask for evidence from the American government and pursue the case to send these people to court so that they can clear their names or be convicted of the crime they committed? We're not going to do that. We delayed justice there. Now we're going to delay justice here. That is why Liberians United for Justice and Accountability continue to remind Liberians that our first and foremost priority for a better Liberia is justice and accountability.
So, Mr. Savice, there have been some disenchantment from some Liberians. As I sometimes follow some of your posts, some Liberians are accusing you that you are calling for the establishment of the War and Economic Crimes Court, but you're not receptive to others. Most of them saying that they try to reach out to you, but you don't respond to that message. What do you have to say to that?
Well, it's hard if you've been in there,
Mm,
and I apologize to these people. I cannot respond
mm,
to every message. And some
mm,
people are right. I got a bunch of messages in my inbox.
mm,
I kind of, I see somebody talking about justice, the next thing, they want to pay their school fees or somebody's sick, somebody this and that, you can only do what you can, my brother. You can't do more than that.
mm.
And I can understand their frustration. If I have billions of dollars, I wouldn't
But
mind
there's a
doing
big
anything,
shoes. But there's a big
to,
shoes that you are stepping in, Mr. Savage. So
I
you
agree.
should have known all of that before embarking on
I
this
agree,
journey.
but if you are asking me to be a part of justice and accountability,
Hmm.
it's different than you to
Okay.
pretend to be involved in the advocacy just because you want to have access to me. And then, I get to hear about your little problems here and there. I too got problems. So if I see these things and I understand why you're involved, I just don't waste my time with it. If you truly care about justice and your families are victims and you're victims, you wouldn't need Emmanuel Savice to do that. So I'm just telling you plain and simple. There are people who are
Hmm.
involved in these things because they want access to you to be able to ask you for favors. And if you don't have it, you just can't be their friends. And so that's the case. And I remember the comment of the individual that commented on my post. I
Hmm.
went and looked in my inbox. I sent that person $90 before,
Okay.
and they came back saying that they got U.S. visa. No, they didn't get U.S. visa, but they were
Mm.
trying to get a student visa, and they needed me to
Okay.
help them with $450 that I ignored. And so that's where that comment came from.
Oh, I see. It's turning into a personal campaign now.
And it turns into a personal campaign.
So, Mr. Savage, so what is next for Luja? What are you guys intending to do in months to come or years to come?
And I'm happy you asked that question. To be very honest, I think that's one of the questions I look forward to on this
Mhm,
interview.
mhm, mhm,
So before we wanted to prove to the world that victims want war economic crimes court. That's why we were able to get into Liberia. Our first objective was to get the signatures. So what we did, our first real objective was to engage our leaders. We started with the national legislature, and then the president went to the United Nations, went to the European Union, the embassy of the United States. So we kind of engaged our foreign partners and our government. We didn't do it once, we didn't do it twice, not three times, but four times we did. And when we knew that the government was not ready, we had our next strategy to collect signatures and prove that we really want this. And LUJA went out there. We wanted to collect 1 million signatures. We collected 305,000 signatures. Not because we don't have the finances to support this process all over. If we do, we can get more, like I said on this broadcast earlier. And now we've done that. I think is a major stepping stone to the cause of justice and accountability. That we have physical documents from Liberians who are victims of the Civil War. We're proud of that. What do we do next? We are still standing our ground for justice and accountability. We are
mhm.
now looking for those who want justice and accountability so we can run our support. Are going to hit government because you cannot run an advocacy group and stay away from politics. Why ourselves, we are not involved in the everyday politics and we don't intend to contest in these elections. We still believe that other Liberians are very qualified that want justice and accountability that we need to support. So we want to stay strong as an organization. We want to continue to engage the US government because they are the only hope for justice in our country. We have given up on our officials. So our next step is still the step that we are continuing to continue to engage our US counterpart for justice and accountability. So that's the process we're involved with at the moment. Hopefully, we will be hearing from them as
So
much as we have.
do we expect to see you guys carrying out another demonstration or protest in Liberia anytime soon?
Absolutely. Well, we we still believe that protests is a way of confronting your government, and LUJA has not stayed away from that. But I'll tell you here right now, Liberia has not been a safe place for people like us. We have endangered our lives on too many occasions to be there for justice and accountability. And we're still not scared to do that. Although we have not been there for a year, we've heard about some of the things that they have said that they can do to us. We've seen threat in our inboxes, our social media, telephone messages, because our fight for justice and accountability. But that doesn't scare us. We definitely will be in Liberia at some point protesting again, because that's something that we use to confront our government for justice.
Okay. So what do you make of the passage of the dual citizenship bill? What do you make of that? Because people have been questioning your nationality.
Well, I congratulate the government, but I think that was very important. The only thing I don't like about it is the fact that the bill discriminates. The bill says that if you've taken citizenship in another country, you definitely cannot contest
Yeah.
elections in Liberia. You cannot hold certain
Mhm.
positions.
Yeah.
It's a major stepping stone and a great achievement by the city's government to make sure that Liberians can have Liberian passports and that they can identify with their country even if they took citizenship in another country. To be honest with you, there's no reason why people should lose their citizenship. You know, I am a Liberian. Still feel like a Liberian. Still love Liberia. My wife is a Liberian. You know, our kids, some of them were born in Liberia, some of them were born in Canada.
Okay.
They all should be Liberian citizens. You know, if you are an American and you go and have a kid on Liberian soil, that kid automatically become an American. Why? Liberians don't want to claim their citizenship. You know, it sounds strange that in the 21st century, a country is refusing human resources that could develop their nation, all because they don't want competition for the sake of politics. That's very sad.
So, Mr. Sabe, if you had an opportunity right now to meet President Weah face to face, what will you tell him as it relates to the starving war and economic crackle? What would be some of the things that you would look in your face and tell him?
If I'm given the opportunity to speak, I'll speak more of this honesty to the issue. I'll remind him about the CDC campaign for justice. I'll particularly remind the president of his speech to the United Nations, asking for justice, that he wants victims to rest their case, and he wants perpetrators that are accused to clear their names. And then when he returned to Liberia, he started to blast journalists because he said he wanted to develop the country. We're talking about war and economic crime store. I'll talk more of the president this honesty that in as much as he believes a lot of Liberians who are not educated listen to some of, you know, the things that he say and still respect it. There are a lot who know better, that see him as a complete distraction to our government, the governing process, even though he's president, and that he is not interested in the national justice, that he's been pretending all along. And I, as a Liberian, am very disappointed in his presidency. Unfortunately, that's where I stand with my president.
Okay, yeah. If you guys are just joining, we are winding down because Mr. Sabe is only here for 1 hour 30 minutes. Yeah, we appreciate him for taking some time off to sit with us on the Dakpannah Show to discuss these things. So if you can call, you can call in. The number is pinned. The number is pinned. You can call in. I'll put it to the line. So, Mr. Savice, we have asked you a lot of questions. So perhaps you want to speak on some other things that we didn't ask you. You are free to do so while we are winding down.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for inviting me on this
Mm.
program. Every time I have the chance to speak of justice and accountability, it's something that matters to me the most, and I'm delighted to do so because I'm passionate about that. So I'd like to thank you. To those who listen to your program and those
Mm.
who think that we're involved in this advocacy for personal greed, because we want government job, I want you to know that that's not true. we're in this genuinely because of justice for our country. And I would like every well-meaning Liberian to be a part of what we do. Not that you have to be a part of LUJA, but you got to embrace justice. Whether you live in America, in Australia, in Canada, or any parts of the diaspora, or anywhere in the world, justice defines a country. If you kill 300,000 people and don't want to do anything about it, you most likely will not get the best outcome in your country. And if every time we got to speak on these issues, we want you to know that even if one person listen and understand the need for justice, we feel that we have achieved something. We cannot have these people running our government. We cannot have Prince Johnson, who murdered so many human beings, being a policymaker in our country. George Foley, we cannot have the same. We cannot let them die a natural death like Ahaji G.V. Krona. They have to be persecuted. We cannot let Ellie write the history of Liberia because she has stolen so many million dollars. We can't do this thing. If we abandon justice in our country, we are abandoning the future of Liberia. And I want you to know, like the American ambassador for war crimes and lies stated, that if we cannot fight for these crimes that were so heinous in Liberia, how are we going to fight everyday crime? I'm calling on everyone to be a part of justice and accountability side. If you want to contact us. Liberians United for Justice and Accountability. Our doors are open to those who care about justice and accountability in our country. And I want to show you one thing. That even if the George Weah administration disappeared, tomorrow, if we have another administration, certainly do not care about justice and accountability, we're going to have the same issues. So let justice be our priority. Let accountability be our priority. If these things are not our priority, we are never going to be able to succeed as a nation. So I really don't want to touch on other things. I want to touch on justice and accountability. It's what I'm passionate about. It's why I joined LUJA. It's why I became CEO of LUJA. The War on Economic Crime School is important in our country, and we must achieve that. We cannot allow a president stop in it. We cannot allow a minister or legislator or anyone who heads government autonomous agency or our partner stop it. We as citizens must want it, and if we do, we can generally get it.
Okay, Mr. Savice, I want to appreciate you once again for availing yourself to the Dakpannah Show. Before you leave, I also want to say this, that I'm in support 100% for the establishment of War and Economic Crimes Court in Liberia. I'm one of those Liberians that never left Liberia. I was there for these 14 years of civil unrest. Today, I'm sitting in a house with a dark shade on my face. It's not because I want to bluff. It's because of the situation we're faced with. My eyes got damaged by the particles of gun. Today, I'm struggling. So if that war wasn't going to come to Liberia, I don't think I was going to be going through what I'm going through now. There were many times people wanted to harm us. We ran from place to place. We ate all kind of food. We were in danger. The 14 years of civil unrest, it was troublesome. It was dangerous for some of us. So we know what we experienced during the war. I can imagine I was 8 years old and I started school at the age of 8 years old. Today, some of the things that we wanted to do, some of the things that we wanted to achieve, we couldn't achieve it because of the war. So we know that how some of our friends die, some of our relatives die. We know the harshness, the harsh reality of the war. We experience it. So I think that it's about time to end the culture of impunity in Liberia. So I learned that you are fair in your campaign for the assignment worker code. I'm willing to support that. But I've been thinking, I've been following you from a distance. And I also, as a media person, I've been also listening to the sound in the street. Some people have been accusing you falsely, that you are doing it for political reasons, But now I have sat here for 1 hour plus listening to you. I think I'm convinced that you really mean this. You're doing it for Liberia. It's nothing personal. So if you are looking for anyone to stand with you in this campaign, I will be one of those who stand with you. And I will stand for the cause, no matter what it takes. We need to continue to push this. There's a need for people to be made to pay for their action. They should be made to pay for their action. So I want to say thank you. Keep up the good fight. Yes, is I know you have gone through a lot. It had been somehow dangerous at certain point in time, but we need to continue to push because so long we want to see Liberia improve, so don't want to see Liberia rise above the fray, so don't want to see Liberia progressing instead of retrogressing. We need to stand up for something. So I want to say thanks to you and your team for the fight so far, and let's continue the fight to the end. So I want to say thank you for coming on, and I'm inspired by some of the things that you said, and I think that I will support you by any chance, by any means.
Thank you there to the Dakpannah Show team, especially for the invitation. Like I said, I really appreciate this enviable platform. I'm going to go back to your intro. I really like to listen to that again. It seemed very inspiring for a country like that. And I'm also glad that after this interview, you find it in your heart to support justice and to support Liberians United for Justice and Accountability. And it's my promise to you, my brother, that my advocacy is not for government job. It's not because you're going to see me on the ballot in 2023. It's purely from my heart for my country and our people. So I'm glad I was able to convince you. And thank you so much for inviting me on the show, and to all of your staff, to your listeners. I really want to appreciate it. Thank you.
And thank you. On a personal note, because I always follow you, I also want to say thank God that your daughter is back on her feet. And, yeah, and I want to say thank you for being a good parent, yeah.
Oh, thanks
Thank
for
you.
that. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for that.
yeah,
I appreciate it. She's doing very good. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you. Okay, you can sign out from your end. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Okay, bye-bye.
All right. Okay. So that's it. We've been having Mr. Emmanuel Savice. We've been having him in a conversation. We've been looking at the campaign for the establishment of war and economic crimes code in Liberia. I don't know why you guys didn't call in. Yeah, we Liberian people, we love too much politics. If I was saying on politics, yeah, deep discussion. You're gonna see the calls coming in from all over the place, but I don't know why you guys didn't call today to ask Mr. Savice some questions. Yeah, so I don't know, Mr. Emmanuel BN. I don't know whether you are following. Mr. Emmanuel BN. I don't know whether you still following. If you are following, I think I will appreciate you can place me a call. You can place a call to me so we can have a chit chat on some of your activities. And before we call it a day, Mr. Emmanuel Tanu. Mr. Emmanuel BN Tanu. Mr. Emmanuel BN Tanu, if you still following, I saw you commenting. You can place a call to me and let's have a chit chat. Since we have a little time here, you can call me so that we can have some discussion as it relates to your campaign, because that's another campaign for you have another campaign. But if not, we'll find time and bring you. But so, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, so I want to say thanks to all of you guys. We are still here, and it was a good discussion. We all know what we experienced during the 14 years of civil unrest. We all know what we experienced. Some of us, we never had the opportunity to leave Liberia. We were in our country. We nearly got killed. We ran through the bullets. We saw dead bodies. We experienced terrible and critical health problem only because of the war. We were traumatized. You know what it means to see somebody being killed, to see a relative being killed, people being raped, people being brutalized. The sound of the guns all over. My father nearly got killed at a certain point in time because he was chased after. He escaped death on many occasions. I remember there's a point in time my father explained a story to me where, because at a certain point in time the rebel they took my father's car, so my father had no option but to be with them. They said, you either be with us, take us places, or we take the car away. So to protect his car, my father was with them. And can you imagine one day these guys they took my father somewhere, and this guy right in front of my father they killed someone. That was very traumatizing. So there are a lot of things happening. Some of us we didn't sit in we didn't go to school on time because of the war. 14 years, you know what I mean? My age right now take 14 years from my age. It had a great effect. It had a great effect on negatively. So we will continue to push for this, and I think everywhere many Liberians should support Mr. Savice and his team. He said that it's not about he doesn't have any political motive. No, his campaign doesn't have any political undertone. So I think we need to support this cause. I don't know why it is so difficult for us to call for them to establish a code. You listen to the ambassador at large, the U.S. ambassador at large on war crimes. She said the United States will support as long as Liberians decide for the code to be established. Like the United States government will support it. Yeah, those people who responsible for the backwardness of Liberia today, they are enjoying. It's unfair. It's unfair. Because of the war, we have at-risk youth today. They are in numbers. They are burning their children. They are burning children. They are living in the ghettos, living on crack, on drugs, and so forth. It's because of the war. Today, the crime rate is on the increase, on the rise in Liberia. It's because of the 14 years. Normal days, when our parents explain about normal days, they talk about how Liberia was a peaceful country. You could even walk at night. You could even leave your door open in normal days. The normal days, you could leave your door open. You could walk on the street with your phone or whatever. Nobody harassing you. At that time, taxi driver used to even take you to your door. But nowadays, it can't happen. It's because of the war. Most of our youth in the country, they are traumatized. Some of them, they are arrogant. They are living on drugs. They are to support their drugs addiction. They are involved with harassing people. You cannot even walk the street of Monrovia with your hands shaking anymore. People nowadays, the building house, they try to protect it with iron gates, iron bars. And when it's like that, at the end of the day, when fire catch up, it's very difficult for people to even survive from any fire incident in Liberia. So we need to stand up for the cause. We need to stand up for the cause. The establishment of war and economic crimes code in Liberia, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. So I think the government need to engage. The government need to engage. The government need to listen to the cries of the people. It's not about condemning. It's not about criticizing. It's about doing what is right for our country. So I'm in support of the establishment of war and economic crimes code. But some other people are arguing that, but there's no need to establish war crime code in Liberia because we already have courts in the country responsible for war crimes. So I think we need to put everything on the table. If there's no need to establish it, but we need to get our backing. Let us back that up, come up with the necessary support, be able to come up with the plan. If we will use our courts in the country, then that will come up with the drawdown plan. But if we will establish a special court, then we can have the discussion. But I think we need to sit around the table to talk about this establishment of war crime code. Through whatever means. I learned that people will be prosecuted for their action. People will be made to answer for their wrongdoings in the country. I support it. Whether it's a special court or whether it is our own court, but alone will be prosecuting those who be or committers of heinous crime in the country. That will be good for our country. So let us stand for the cause. Let us appreciate Mr. Savice and his team for what they are doing. Yes, I know most of you say, oh, but what now? During the Mama Liberia administration, We didn't see you, but everything has time. During my administration, we saw the legs of Mobile Modu and other guys. And one of the mistakes people making is that during the Manazari time, those guys, they were from every political party. They were from different political parties. They were even from the CDC. Even though the guy who was the leader, he was from the CDC. But we have other guys. I listened to one other guy the other time, Freedom. He said he was from the Liberty Party. We had a leader, Baka Jariba. Baka Jariba was from Liberal Action Party. So those guys, they were all part of the assignment of war and economic crime code. But it's surprising today that the government is saying that it's not a priority. So when will it be a priority? Development is good, but you cannot develop a country and then you allow the culture of impunity to continue to prevail. It's highly possible, it's highly likely that we could go back to our ugly past. And at the end of the day, what happened? To all the development that will carry on again, it will be destroyed. So while we are focusing on development, we also need to focus on prosecuting people who committed heinous crime, those perpetrators of the heinous crimes in Liberia. So I want to say thank you. We had Mr. Papi Xavier Cordier. Mr. Richardson is not in today. Shatondu is not in. Mr. Russell Pro is on a sick leave. But I want to appreciate all of you guys that follow the broadcast. It's like Mr. Emmanuel BN Tanu is not available, but we'll find time to bring him on. I want to say thank you. We will be back here again on Sunday. Please, we have a YouTube channel. Please try to look for, just go in your search and check for Dakpannah 24 News and Television. Yeah, the 24 is the number 24. Dakpannah 24 News and Television, and subscribe. I think it will be good you subscribe, and you can follow us on YouTube, where we are on YouTube. So please subscribe to the YouTube page, because we need to go 1,000 before it be public. So right now we are a little bit over 100. So please go and search for Dakpannah 24 News and Television and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. So all of you guys have been following Mr. Yonlo Wape and the rest of the folks. Let me see if I can recognize some of you guys. Yeah, let me see if I can recognize some of you guys before I go. Mastering Toure, welcome. Mr. Yonlo Wape, Mr. Emmanuel Bientanu, Riverside Pro, SS Jebedu Tower Thompson, Mr. Buema Kone, Linaro Boy. Thank you all for following. Let's do it again another time. I appreciate all you guys. Please search for the YouTube channel and subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's free of charge. Subscription on YouTube is free of charge. So I want to say thank you. Mr. Linaro Boy, you know you didn't treat me fair, and I have bone to pick with you, Mr. Linaro Boy. I have bone to pick with you. So within 24 hours, you are asked to come in. If not, when I come on the show the next time, you'll be in trouble with me, Mr. Linaro Boy. So I want to say thanks to all of you guys. This is how I want to say goodbye. Let's come again next Sunday. Join me next Sunday, and we'll do it again. We have a lot of things to talk about, but we couldn't discuss it today because of our guest. But let's see next Sunday how it will be. I want to say thank you all. Goodbye from my end. Appreciate your time being on the show. Thanks to Mr. Emmanuel Savice for availing himself to our platform. I appreciate you so kindly. And thanks to Mr. Papi Xavier Cordier and the rest of the team. Goodbye.